I've got a bit of a cold.
Taking care of business.
Mikey and Vinnie have returned.
Are we back?
We're back. And I got a call from Biff Jiggerman. He's in Kansas City, and he's beside himself. So that's Biff Jiggerman sitting next to Biff Jiggerman, is what it amounts to.
Yeah, okay.
Biff, never leaves Kansas City.
Yeah, they're a moment in the sun. Wasn't so sunny, was it?
That's why no one except the Packers have gone three in a row. It ain't easy, even with a great team.
Well, yeah, but you should butt kick like they got their butts kicked.
But when you get your
That's
butts kicked, that's what it looks like.
yeah. I mean, I'm surprised that I didn't really delve into the sports parts of the pages, just because after what I saw last night, I think a rest from sports. But it seemed to me that if you wanted to throw a game, that's what it would look like.
Well, I was telling Kristen, no one studies the sports psychology because there's no solution in studying it. When you see that look on their face that we saw on the Chiefs' faces, you saw Andy Reid's face fall, you saw Patrick Mahomes' face take on a new expression, you saw Travis Kelsey not even looking like himself. He looked like another person. And that's what befalls an entire team when that crestfallen look is all up and down the benches, and grown men, 300 pounders, are on the bench crying. It's a terrible feeling when you know that there's nothing you can do that's going to make it any better. How do you know it's not your night? When you do an onside kick, and you say we got it, we got it, we got it, but you don't got it. In fact, the other team didn't even have to say we got it because they knew they had it. How
Well,
do you know? How do you know it's not your night? You go for two and your only touchdown of the game, and you don't get it. And so the score is 34-6, which is even more demeaning than 34-7. That's when you know it's not your night. There's nothing you can do.
it's always fascinating to me to and listen. Let's not take anything away from the Eagles. They're a good team.
They're a great team.
They're I think better than anybody, maybe even themselves, gave themselves credit for. And in
Well,
Philadelphia, easy thing because Philadelphia is always trying to take credit for whatever the hell they can take
I
credit
was
for.
impressed with that fact that they're the tallest and the heaviest line in the history of football. There's never been an offensive line bigger, taller, more size of of greater size and weight than the Eagles that we saw yesterday.
Well, it seemed that they rushed Kansas City. Now I'm saying were just out. It is as if Philadelphia had a playbook
Hmm.
and they knew what was coming. They
They
knew
knew they
exactly
knew the script.
which way they were going to go. They had the armband. They could look down at the right there and say, okay, next. And Andy Reid, as great of a coach as he is, didn't seem for a while, I thought, to change things up much.
The adjustment.
Just kept trying to pound what he knew.
Well, none of their tried and true offensive weapons had a chance to show themselves because Mahomes had no time. He didn't. I wouldn't want to have had the nightmares that Mahomes had last night because he got no sleep and he got no peace. The ghosts of that game were chasing him through the night and
Oh,
catching him.
yeah, without a doubt. But don't you,
I mean,
when you are,
when's the last time you saw him sacked two times in a row?
you saw things in that game that you've never seen before.
Right.
I mean, they completely and totally had their number. It's really that simple.
Yep.
whatever Kansas City did so well, the Eagles sat down, watched tape, or bought the playbook and did it better. Uh, whatever it was, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't believe that they bought the playbook. I
And the
just
inter-
believe that Sirianni and his crew, um, especially the D coordinator, man. I'm trying to remember his name now. He was always a good
Fangio.
friend of John Clayton's.
Fangio.
Uh, uh, just absolutely took them apart.
Victor Fangio.
Say again?
Vic Fangio.
Vic, right. Thank you. Thank you. Um, I really missed John Clayton yesterday. For some reason, and I think it was probably because Vic Fazio and Steve Spagnuolo were in that game, and I know that he was great friends with both of those guys. If
Call him
that
three
was
times a week.
a Clayton Super Bowl, that was it. I mean, he was, was just on tight terms with both of those guys. Uh, uh, but it reminded me, Michael. We've been lucky if you're a football fan. You're lucky that over the past 10 years or so, the Super Bowl games have been good, have been watchable games, have
Right.
been, really, for the most part, pretty good football games. But there was a time, I'm sure you remember, when really the word was make sure you watch the AFC champion game and the NFC championship game because the Super Bowl is just a mess.
Remember when the
Once in a while, you'll get a great moment, but for the most part,
49ers beat Denver 55-10 or something?
yeah, exactly. And yesterday, that game felt like one of those old games. It felt like one of those games where the game, after a while, was so out of hand. The game, after a while, was so far. Was just not a well played game from the Kansas City side, and it just you lost interest. You were more interested in the commercials at a point not too deep into the game.
They couldn't shake whatever was plaguing them yesterday. They could never escape it for even a series of downs. Everything that they tried, every element of their game, special teams, defense, offense, was just they were paralyzed. They were in a nightmare, in a football nightmare, and they never woke up from it. And by the way,
Yeah,
for commercials, I'm giving my award to Harrison Ford in the Jeep commercial.
you know what? I'm right there with you. Except I really did. I would have to call a second to the guys in the cul-de-sac.
That was
I
yeah,
thought that was a really well done, really funny, and probably third to Dunkin' Donut.
probably Dunkin' Donut. They crammed so much into it, I couldn't follow it.
Yeah. There was a lot in there, but and as far as a serious commercial, the Nike women's sports commercial, I didn't realize that was the first time that Nike had been back in like 35 years or something.
Really?
Some kind of ridiculous. Maybe it's less than maybe it's 25 or something like that. But it's the first time that Nike um, had been back in a long time. And really, if you think about it, Nike doesn't need to advertise on the Super Bowl.
I think they thought about it and realized that they don't need to advertise in the Super Bowl. You know who needs to advertise more in the Super Bowl? Yeezy. Yeezy's got to get another campaign going because we didn't understand the first one.
I like the Seal ad too.
Do which one?
The Seal. Seal, the singer,
Oh yes.
Seal. I thought that was pretty good. Um, no stinkers, really. But going back to the Harrison Ford, that was it was only one car commercial.
Ford was it? I mean, Jeep was it?
Jeep was, I think, the only car commercial that was in the game. Now there might have been adjacencies or something like that, and then they had that weird Kia thing where they were giving away 4 cars, one at the end of each quarter. But I think that was, I think that was it.
I wonder if they gave those cars away.
Well, I'm sure they did. I mean, they said they were gonna.
But did you
I
think
thought
kind
that
of
was actually a brilliant. I thought that was a bit of that was a bit of you know this guy, our old friend from San Francisco, James Gabbert. It was almost a James Gabbert type of deal where you watch the show and you call in and you can win. You know, it's almost bring a radio to TV. You know, name it and claim it.
James?
That
I don't
kind
know
of
if
that kind
James.
of
I don't know
thing.
if James Gabbard invented it, but he was the one who uses the Christmas log on Christmas. Channel 20 used to do the Christmas log and play Christmas carols.
No, the
The
Christmas
fire.
log was invented. Excuse me, by WPIA York in
Congratulations, Pix.
1966. As a matter of fact, I have a tape
The first Christmas
of
log.
the original Christmas log. I have a
Does it,
video of
and
it.
does it burn warmer than the current Christmas logs?
Oh, yes, much warmer. Well, they could burn different things back then. And, you know, the reason that came about, that Christmas log, um, is that you live there, so you know, you can't have a fire in New York City.
You'd have to have a townhouse with a grandfathered in chimney.
I don't even think at that point in 1966 you could even have. I think all
No fires.
fires were banned at that point. You know, indoor chimney fires. You could only have an outdoor, like a barbecue or something like that.
Uh,
Um, and so they finally, some thinking engineer over at Channel 11 said, "Well, why don't we just put the damn thing on TV and people can turn it on and watch it."
and warm the
And it's
cockles of their hearts.
yeah, and it's one of the most still to this day is the most one of the best ideas
Yeah.
anybody's ever had for Christmas programming. It's it gave access to us gave access to people who didn't have a fireplace. Interesting thing was too, I always thought about that is that it was one of the first times that I ever remember television and music being used to. I mean, a few years later, we saw it with concerts, and they're going to show you this concert live and turn over 102.7 to listen to the audio in stereo.
Right.
But in those days, they didn't have stereo television. They
Yeah,
didn't have
no
they didn't have
way.
anything. But they but they had it set up that you could listen to it in stereo on your on this new thing that they had on these new Dan Fangled receivers called FM radio.
That reminds me of something that Jim Gabbard used to do. His station before K101 was K Pen for the Penthouse. And it was the Penthouse playing yacht rock cover songs, instrumental versions of rock tunes. And they had 2 microphones in the studio so that the announcer could do his bit in stereo and pan between the 2.
For those who may not know, Jim Gabbert was a guy that was in San Francisco in the 60s and 70s, and he was a he was quite a character. He was a showman, but he was an electronics geek.
Yep.
So he really did, tried to do some interesting things.
With his signal.
He did a live television show every Sunday night, and it was a movie. And then he would bring people in, and they'd sit at a bar and talk about the movie between, in the intermissions. And then he had another movie that was on in the afternoon. He did the dialing for dollars thing, I think, for a while after Channel 2 gave it up. But we didn't like him much because he stole our radio station.
I just heard Janis Joplin singing her song. My friends all have Porsches. How much make amends? And dialing for dollars is mentioned in that song. Dialing for dollars is searching for me.
Yep.
Thank you, Pearl.
Dialing for dollars is trying to find me. Worked hard all my lifetime. I'd be interested in finding out who invented that. I remember that from when I was a little kid on WNEW in New York, hosted by a guy named Scott.
Well, the first guy to host it in San Francisco was Mel Vintner. Mel Vintner was like a staff announcer or personality at KTVU, Channel 2. And he would draw it, and it was just like watching ice melt. It was fascinating. It was so bad. The concept is that they chop up telephone books all over from the Bay Area, and then they read three from the bottom. They take a page in the telephone book, and they read three names from the bottom. So it would be like, Vinnie Riccici. Your phone number is blah 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 blah. We're dialing for dollars. We're looking for you. You have 5 minutes or whatever the time was, and they chose your name by the random 5 from the top, 3 from the bottom, whatever the case may be. And they would just read the name, and then nothing. Nobody would call. The money wasn't given away,
and you had to know the count and the amount.
Yep.
And that was the way that you won it, and it was surprisingly successful against, all of the television shows, the soap operas.
Yeah, more action. What's in it for me?
Yeah, those were the days where there was just a ton of soap operas, As the World Turns, One Life to Live, General Hospital, all down the line. In the morning, you had game shows. Then you had soap operas.
Queen for a day.
I was just going to say that. Jack Bailey and Queen for a day. They could do these days.
Oh yeah.
It'd probably have slightly different tilt to it.
Maybe Queen for a week.
No, I wasn't thinking in those terms. I was thinking of it more in your Queen would certainly. Well, my dear, my name is Marvidel Plata, and I spin the discs for you. Oh man. So,
what did you think of a Kendrick Lamar? I would just say, as a sight reader, he's flawless.
It didn't do much for me.
I like the choreography.
Yeah, it didn't do. And I just thought he was boring, to be honest with you.
Well, he had such a lot to say. His commentary on the social nature of our life was the basis for all his material.
Yeah.
But he talked so fast, and there was no way to take it all in.
Yeah, it was overpowering in that sense. I, I just I kind of tuned out of it actually. After when stuff is coming like that, and you can't really get a grasp on what the person is saying. Now, obviously, I could hear parts of it. I knew parts of it from his, but it didn't. I don't know, and I think it alienated a lot of that audience. I think that audience was running scared to begin with. Not scared, but the whole thing about taking the end racism off of the field and all of that stuff. They're running scared to begin with. I don't know if they had a thing where they told Kendrick, listen, let's not try to make waves here.
The president's
Um,
going to be here, and it's going to be broadcast on Fox. So you've got a couple things going against you.
right. We have Rupert sitting upstairs, and we don't want to have problems in dealing with him. We want to live to come back and
You want a happy
see this,
group.
broadcast this thing again sometime. So,
One thing,
I
one thing I wanted to mention about, I mentioned this to Kristen, and she disagreed with me, but I thought the editorial direction of the show was wrong. Brady and the play-by-play guy had one idea, and that was Kansas City's losing, but what a wonderful team. What a special team. What a talented bunch of guys. What a remarkable collection of athletes. They are capable of so much more than we're seeing from them tonight. And it doesn't look like they're going to pull it together, but they could if they wanted to. Any other day, this would be Kansas City's game. You talk about a great team. Let me tell you, Kansas City Chiefs is the team of the decade. They're America's team, and they've got this quarterback. You've got to see him. If you haven't seen him, he's remarkable. He can do so much. Not today, admittedly, but usually he's a remarkable player. And then there's the Eagles, and they're fun too. And we'll be back after this.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. First of all, I buy the line. People used to say this about Ichiro all the time. Ichiro can hit a home run anytime he wants to. If Ichiro could hit a home run every time he wants to, then the laws of whatever the law is about says in my ear that he would hit a home run every time he got up.
And he would have hit a lot more home runs than he has already.
And he'd have, what did he have? 500 at bats a year, 400 at bats a year. He's a leadoff player. He played 10 years. He'd have 5,000 home runs
Because he can hit one anytime he wants.
anytime he wants. As a matter of fact, after a while, they just create a rule
Home run.
where he'd come up and they'd just signal him around. Why waste the pitch?
Why waste the time? You
It
know what he's
always
going to do.
disturbs me when uh, people will do that. He can hit a home run anytime he wants to. He can't hit a home run every time he wants to.
In fact, no one can.
Superman, maybe.
Who's he playing for? I know he was free agent this year.
Superman, I thought, was with the Dodgers.
Everybody else is. You're probably right.
Or the Metropolis morons. Um, but so I never buy into that whole they can do it. Beckham can score a goal anytime he wants to. By the way, that was a great commercial.
Yeah, that was a good one.
The Beckham commercial was hilarious.
So you're a professional soccer player. How big are you? Would I have heard of you? I'm your brother. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So I don't that whole line. These guys can do this. If these guys could do that, and they were that good that they could do it at will, whatever they wanted to. Believe you me, Super Bowl from a worldwide audience that would include, a billion people. You probably would do it once, at least. Give go, right? Let them see what you can do anytime you want. Why would you deprive your public?
I just thought the direction of the game, in terms of calling it, would have been the Eagles have outshone themselves. They've proven everybody wrong. They've taken control of this game, and they're managing offense, defense, and special teams. And Kansas City cannot find the handle for anything. But they never got to that. It was Kansas City's about ready to wake up. They really need a touchdown here. This is where they got to turn it around. This is the play that they're going to do it.
I I think everybody was shocked, to be honest with you.
They should have been.
I think that from from reporters to sideline to water boys to the ticket takers, the ushers, anybody who was in attendance at that stadium yesterday was shocked at the way that game was going.
Think the commissioner was shocked? I think he was.
Say again, Michael?
The commissioner, you think he was shocked? I think he was.
Probably because, especially when he saw the numbers in the second half start to go down. I mean, I haven't seen the overnights, but I would have to think that in the second half of that game, that people were leaving it like it was going out of style.
The casual viewers were bailing.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't exciting. There was, after the second Eagles touchdown, did anybody have any feeling at all whatsoever that Kansas City was going to climb themselves back into that game?
I thought it was the interceptions that turned it around too. And just a knife in the heart.
Yeah, it never ever felt like Kansas City was on the field in that game.
Back when Phil Villapiano and John Della and Kenny Stabler were all Raiders, I was a big Raider fan. They were playing in Oakland. You could watch them on a given Sunday, any given Sunday, and they're playing, doesn't matter who, San Diego. They're playing the Chargers. And the Raiders would take on this personality. Penalties, fumbles, another penalty, anger, personal foul, guy getting thrown out of the game, and you just see it on their face. Everything they do is an emotional reaction to what's happened before. They can't find their pace. They can't find an angle to get going. They can't get the running game going. They can't short passes. Nothing. Everything's being knocked down. The Raiders just look like hell, and they're playing like hell. And then they take on that personality, and they welcome hell. We're the worst team in football. Watch us. We're gonna get penalties. We're gonna shoot ourselves in the foot. We're gonna lose this game. And you can tell from the first 5 minutes. And the Raiders are that kind of team. They would take on that personality, and they wouldn't be able to shake it. They wouldn't be able to recover. They wouldn't adjust at halftime. They'd just lose. And that reminded me of that. No matter what Kansas City turned its hand to, they stunk.
Yeah.
And then you could see it in their face. You get the close-up of the lineman coming back, and you see that look on his face. You go, that's not good.
Yeah, good. They had the obvious side feet in the second quarter.
Yeah. No recovery, no adjustment.
Yeah, you just felt like, hey kid, run to the corner and get another couple of cases of beer. We're gonna need them.
Yeah. Chop, chop, chop.
Chop, chop, man. We're just in it's just a complete and total failure.
Yep.
And everybody will tell you that you have games like that. You have years like that. for the most part. I mean, maybe there are some teams that don't, but I don't know that haven't had a stinker like that. It just so happens that Kansas City stinker this year showed up on their most important day of the year.
And you've never seen Patrick Mahomes play with that look on his face. You've never seen him in that mood. He's always peppy, fast talking, adjusting, and there wasn't anything. There wasn't anything you could do. No place he could go. No place to run. No place to hide. No middle ground where he could rest for a moment.
Yeah, there was never. Yeah, it was just not. It wasn't a good football game unless you were a crazed Eagles fan. And you
Then you
weren't
had a
looking at it
fabulous
from the
day.
perspective of a game.
What a great day.
Yeah, it was just a great day. Where after this, we're going to go out and climb some greased light poles and see how many we can get to fall off of it. I didn't count on that. Was how many were killed last night there?
The usual amount, average night in Philadelphia, within the margin of error.
Uh, the officiating.
But that almost got off on the wrong foot. Those first two penalties were.
Yeah. But there's nothing there that you could have pointed to them and said, "Boy, that was the difference in the game."
No. The only difference it made is on Philadelphia's first drive, the penalty took away their drive. They probably would have scored on that series of downs. So the score would have been greater by a touchdown or a field goal than it was.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
But no, I didn't think that there was much as far as you go out and you make the calls. I'm sure I haven't. I'm sure that the major pundits will have miles and miles of stuff to say about how it all came apart and how Andy Reid lost the team in the final moments. What might be his last game to coach ever?
So it's time
how high
to
that
fire.
guy.
It's time to fire Andy Reid. Is that what they're saying in Kansas City this morning?
I'm sure that there are people in Kansas City who will be saying that. Yeah, that he's overstayed his welcome. That he is somebody that his style of coaching doesn't reach these young players anymore.
I don't know.
He was okay. It was okay for all the other games.
He was calling all the games they won.
Yeah, I mean, they just had a game that they didn't show up for. I think really you can take it apart and analyze it
It's hard to
9
believe
million
that
ways. But
it's that
just like
simple.
you have a bad day when you go to work sometimes, I have a bad day when I go to work sometimes. They picked Super Bowl Sunday to have a bad day.
What were the overnights? Was it a successful game in terms of viewership?
I haven't. Let me delve it. I haven't seen it. As I said before, I would have to think that it was kind of like the old ones where it was good, for the first half, and then see ya. It certainly wouldn't have been top rated.
Variety mentions the Dunkin' Donuts Super Bowl ad. But they don't mention the numbers.
Let's see. Yeah, I guess I didn't know this, but I guess they changed the methodology this year of how you would figure it out.
You know, I'm so good at not watching commercials that I forget that these are the ones I'm supposed to watch. So I would like tune them out mentally because I can just edit my way through them. But according to Variety, the most watched Super Bowl commercials were Bill Murray, The Muppets, Glenn Powell and Kieran Culkin's Genius Beluga, and YouTube.
Didn't blow me away.
The Yeezy spot from Kanye West that I did not understand was shot on a iPhone while he was sitting in a dentist chair. He had had some work done on his teeth and was all numbed up. And it just had him reacting as in his pathetic, easy way.
Yeah, I don't. I'm never a big on. I don't know. I'm not a big Easy or whatever he's calling himself this week fan of.
Did
I
you did you notice any mention of Trump at the game? I didn't see any.
Yeah, he was at the game.
I know he was at the game. I just didn't see a cutaway to him or anything.
The only thing I saw is I saw a post game thing that one of the people that I subscribe to on YouTube, Midas Touch, Ben
Mm-hmm.
Mycelis, who's a kind of left of center commentator, and his crew. We're talking about Trump and saying, just talking about that he looked confused when he was on the field. That he looked like they weren't getting him to the right spots he was supposed to get to, or something along those lines. But I really didn't pay much attention to him. So, which was fine by me. The less that his name or he was involved in it in anything made it better for me because
Well, in terms of which team supported Trump, you'd have to say Kansas City walks away with that award, the dubious award, with Kelsey and Mahomes' family being well-known supporters of the president.
you know everybody got a right to support who they want to support, right? I mean, the reality is, I support somebody different. They support who they want to support. They're not going to change my mind. I'm not going to change theirs. And if that's the way they want to go, and I'm surprised. I think if you took an honest poll of how many athletes support Trump, you'd find a way lot more
Then you'd expect,
that
yeah.
do. They have a belief because they're Republicans.
And
They have money.
the most unlikely being Stephen A. of ESPN.
Yeah. Does he support Trump?
Oh yeah,
Is he a Trump supporter?
He makes regular appearances on Fox and OAN.
Oh, I didn't know. because I make regular disappearances on Fox. As soon as it comes on,
I
it
disappear.
disappears off of my television set.
I don't even know
Well,
what channel Fox is.
I shouldn't say that, Michael, because I actually do every once in a while. You know, like any good broadcaster, any person does that's in this business, you always have an idea of what people are talking about.
Let's tune in and see what the snakes are doing.
Yeah, I mean, you want to have something, so it wouldn't be. My problem is I I, I can't I can't take it that much.
Can't stomach it.
I can't stomach it. I can't stomach the lies. I can't stomach the just the way that they pervert the facts or disregard them completely and get people to go along with them.
It's,
The
it's,
way,
it's fascinating that they can do it with no long-term worries about the condition of their soul. They just go for it, and under the guise of good broadcasting and trying to be number one, they do ghastly, horrible, painful, damaging things.
well, they're experts at gaslighting people. I mean, they know how to do it. They know who the audience is. They know how to get them. They know how to make them pay attention, and they know what to feed them to keep them coming back. I mean, they're masters at it. Do it better than most anybody I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So it's sad. It's hard. I don't want to say heartbreaking, but it kind of shows you, um, worries you as to how weak somebody's mind is with a couple of beers in them. I mean,
Ultras,
this is
Michelob
your
Red
mind
Liquid.
on Fox. This is your mind without Fox.
This is your mind on Michelob Ultra.
It's it's a shame uh, because they're they're feeding people line, and people for the most part uh, of that side of the political spectrum buy into it, and made Rupert Murdoch and his kids
Cash
a,
in.
a crap ton of money. And but people, Michael, it's like so much. There's people that need to belong to something, and Fox and their lies give them give these people an opportunity to belong to something. It gives them an opportunity to lie with somebody, an opportunity to have all of the fears that you've had reinforced. They're mad at you because you're white. They're mad at you because you're a man. They're mad at you because you're getting screwed every day because the government is trying to get you. But we're going to save you. We're going to help you. We're going to get you out of the predicament you're in.
And there's going to be cookies and Kool-Aid afterwards.
Yeah, and uh, it's all going to be okay. Just listen to Mr. Handy. Just listen to Mr. O'Reilly.
They'll put you straight.
They'll help you. They'll make you feel better, and do the one thing that the Democrats sometimes have trouble doing. They will make you feel like you are known, that you're part of something bigger. That if you're an uncle or a person who's been made to feel outside the realm of normalcy. That if you have been made to feel like an outsider instead of with the cool kids, Fox will turn that around for you. They'll make you feel like you're one of the cool kids because they have that ability. And if you push that on somebody, and if you sell that to them enough, they're able to find people who will buy into that story and sell them a lot. I mean, the numbers on Fox and how much more of an audience they have than anybody on cable is scary.
To the point where there's two Fox pretenders on the spectrum now that are trying to take some of the audience away.
Yeah. OAN, and I forget what the other one is.
We're
News
Foxier
Nation.
than Fox. We're Foxier than Fox, so watch us.
So it's you have to do some thinking for yourself if you want to be a liberalist. You have to go out and you have to try as best as you can. And
Are you suggesting that Chuck Schumer's not going to save me?
yeah, Mikey, I think I'm suggesting that. I'm suggesting that if Dog and Pony show that they put on at the Capitol last week is the cavalry coming over the hill,
He ain't coming.
we're in trouble.
John from the Daily Show. John, I can't think of his name.
Stewart, yeah.
John Stewart was saying, please don't let Chuck Schumer say anything to anybody anymore. Please
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
let him speak for anybody anymore.
Yeah,
No
I
more
would agree
press
with him.
conferences. No more. That's the end of it.
Yeah. See, and this is one that the Democrats have
Excuse me.
have done so well. They have not come up with, like them or not, the Republicans have come up with some voices that people can hang on to.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, for better or for worse, as wacky as they might be. Uh, um, Josh Hawley and go down the list. I mean, even Matt Gaetz. They may be criminals, they may be this, that, or the other thing, but they have a certain allure to the Republican Party.
Some people in the Republican Party like this, that, and the other thing.
And the Democrats, who do the Democrats
Hakeem
that
Jeffries.
you look at them and say, here's the guy that you look at, you can get behind this guy.
The senator from Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah. Even younger people are looking old. Now, there are, like you point out, there are a lot of people on the up and come. They're not really there yet, are they?
Not when we need leadership like we do now. No.
Yeah. And that's what the Democrats have to develop a bench.
Well,
and they got to develop one pretty quickly.
They should say the team that you look like you're playing for, Mr. Senator Schumer, looks like Joe Biden's team. When Joe Biden can't find the way off the stage, that's how you look when you come on the stage.
Yeah.
You're not a spokesman for anybody anymore. Be part of the brain trust. Get somebody younger and more vital.
Yeah, you You have to develop your Josh Shapiros. You have to find that ilk of leadership, and you have to support and develop them.
And be careful or you'll get a Fetterman without knowing it. You'll be running
Well,
shorts and voting with the Republicans.
yeah, Fetterman's an interesting case. Um, I really would have liked to have seen Fetterman um, without the stroke. I mean, I know what he is without the stroke. I'm talking about on
Right.
a national stage because he was, and I think in many ways still is, a bright, progressive young politician who was different enough
To catch your eye.
to catch your eye, different enough to make you think about what he's saying and dive into it deeper. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, he never got the chance to to show his real self. Um, I wish that America could have seen the John Fetterman that used to, when he was lieutenant governor of the state of or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, used to let kids come over to his pool at the governor's mansion or the lieutenant governor's mansion. Let the kids hang out in the pool on house. Um, um, that kind of that John Fetterman, the John Fetterman who stood up. Um, People who were neglected in society, and people who stood up for the unions, and people and somebody who stood up for so many different people that the state of Pennsylvania had kind of forgotten, or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania had kind of forgotten. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be.
I almost forgot this. I don't know how I almost forgot it, but it was just, I guess I didn't want to think about it. But my friend and family friend, Tom Robbins, died this weekend
I saw that. I was going to
at
mention
the,
that.
at the age of 93. And
93.
the, the best memory of him that I can give you is one that was suggested by his wife, Alex. And that is get a Tom Robbins book and read it, and you will find him in there. You will be introduced to a crazy man who is a maniac and a successful one, and a thoughtful, extraordinary person who believed that life was going to be better in spite of everything else. And it's pretty hard to be a humorist and a intelligent producer of original content and still maintain your optimism. But that's something he managed. It came naturally to him. And according to his story, he drove out from Appalachia, came through the tunnel on I 90, and was reborn in Seattle. Immediately got a job at the Seattle Times reviewing an opera. And that was the kickoff to his writing career and all the success that it brought to him. So, the best thing you can do to honor the memory of Tom Robbins is to make him live again today in your own mind by reading one of his books. And there's plenty of them to choose from. I'm not going to give you a list. Tom Robbins, Robbins. Get yourself
Give me a book though. Give me one. What's your favorite Tom Robbins book?
um, Jitterbug Perfume, I think. The guy,
Say again, Michael.
Jitterbug Perfume. There was a guy planting bombs in sports boats in the Lahaina Harbor, blowing the fuck out of everything. It was his expression was he was a mad bomber.
One of the things that I will remember so fondly I don't think I was here. Not not certainly long. Couple of months maybe, and he had written you a note, and at the end of the note, he wrote a little note about it. It was to the effect of, "Oh, and Vinny," and went into just kind of like a two-line description of the mind of Vinny, and I just thought it was so cool that he I don't even remember what he said exactly, but it was cool enough that it stuck with me. And here's a guy who is a rip roaring, accomplished, famous, smart, and he noticed of me, a schmuck radio personality, and I
Well,
just
what we didn't know he listened to the show. I had no idea. But one day we were
I
talking
didn't
about
know.
one of the writers from the hipster area, the beatnik area, named Paul Bowles. Paul Bowles lived in Morocco and always wrote stories about European women drifting away from the camp to go out into the desert in the middle of the night and being taken by the Bedouins. And we were laughing at the fact that no matter how many times he introduced a person to that situation, they always went out into the desert at night and disappeared into the hands of the Bedouins. And Paul Bowles couldn't stop that from happening. It was his book, it was his problem, and it was his creation. But damned if those people didn't just wander off into the desert every damn time. And didn't the Bedouins just wait there for him? Where are we going? Hold on, she's coming. Who is? That European woman. She's going to drift out here in the desert. We're going to grab her. It happens in every damn book that I write. And he thought that was wonderful. So he he invited himself to Thanksgiving dinner, if you remember,
Yes.
and that was the beginning of it.
It was just as there's certain things that have you on the way, and they may seem like little insignificant
Yeah.
things. You get a note, you get a this, you get a that. You know it all so well. You've been doing it so long. Um, Now I've been doing it so long too, but that was something that always struck me. That this famous, I mean, just this guy that I always held in such high as a writer, knew my name, knew who I was, and actually paid attention. I remember, my sister worked in publishing before she got into insurance. She worked for G. Putnam for a number of years. And I remember the day you showed me, I called her up and I said, "You're never going to believe this." And she was impressed. And she worked with, she worked with enough Putnam's
People who were
big.
selling books.
Well, they were selling books, and she was in charge of permissions. If you wanted to quote a Putnam book in anything, you had to talk to Marianne.
To see if the answer was yes or no and how much.
Exactly, exactly. She was the one price tag on it, and also the context of what it was going to be used in.
Right.
So she was, she held and she had always been a literary. As much as you and I are fans of music, she was a fan of literature, and I'll never forget how impressed she was. That I got a chance to impress her.
I've got a letter of recommendation that Tom Robbins wrote for me, and I'll have to dig it out of the box and find it for you. But it's quite funny. It, it mentions Hersey Hawkins and Ricky Pierce and a number of other members of the Sonics that he admired. He was a big basketball fan and a big Sonics fan. And like so many people, turned his back on the NBA when the Sonics left town. It broke his heart.
Yeah. Yeah, it
How
was.
can you turn your back on the NBA? Well, they started it. So to Alex Robbins and to Fleetwood Robbins and to all the family and the friends and the admirers, sad day.
Sad day for literature. Sad day um, for people who enjoy good writing, satire, um, the ability to speak out through your pen. Um, it's it's an art that's becoming less and less accepted in our society, unfortunately.
And it's not surprising that Tom Robbins' first version were always pen on paper. He had to see the ink on the paper to know what the word was going to be.
Well, God rest his soul. I really hope that that wherever he is, wherever you go, the Algonquin Roundtable must be
Exactly.
pretty interesting.
He's going to have a good seat at the table.
He's going to have a nice seat at the table. Little Tom Robbins when he gets assessed and all his papers um, come through, and he's admitted to a club that he has deservedly earned his way into.
So
Boy,
that's the show for today.
yeah, we flew by today.
Yeah.
I don't remember a show going this.
Patrick Mahomes doesn't remember a show going like that either. He says, I've seen a lot of shows. I don't remember one that went like this.
Well, Mikey, the good thing is we are what is today, the 10th. So we're 4 days, 3 days from pitchers and catchers reporting.
Don't forget Valentine's Day.
I never forget it, but it seems that it has forgotten me.
Don't be so sure.
It has left
You could
me.
you could drift out into the desert and be taken by the Bedouins.
I thought it would help. It's yeah. Valentine's Day has decided to get even with me for some reason. I don't know why, but that's a story for a tall tale for a short day.
And a short, long walk on a short pier.
Yes, yes. All right, Mikey. I will catch up with you on Wednesday morning at 10:10.
It'll be a wacky Wednesday.
And we'll have a Wednesday show and then hopefully a Friday show. And on our Friday show, we'll be able to start to delve into our baseball. Where is our baseball season going?
A couple of questions need to be answered in terms of the Giants, and that is, I know we have a couple catchers, but do we in fact have pitchers? And we're going to try and find this out between now and Wednesday. Now and pitchers and catchers reporting. Because it would be a damn shame if the Giants were the only team in the National League where only the catchers showed up and there was no pitchers. It wouldn't surprise me or any other baseball fan who follows the Giants. But just keep that in mind. It could happen. This could be the year when the catchers show and the pitchers go, who knew?
Right, and in true New York style, the Mets are already holding the ceremony to award the trophy for the
They
2025.
won. Let's go Mets. They won.
Yeah, don't even bother showing up at the games. You're in. Go to the games,
Congratulations.
hot dogs, stretch your legs, and we'll meet you here September 29th
That means
for
you're going to be
the start of the playoffs.
You're not through with Philadelphia yet. Now you got to play the Phillies.
Yeah, they're yeah. Well, we'll delve into that as time goes on. I'm going to try to. We're going to endeavor to try to follow the Mariners a bit more this season. even to the point of, yeah, I really like to. I really am going to call Lou Pinella up and see if he'll jump on with us one
Do you,
one day. It'd be nice to talk to him.
are you certain that the Mariners are going to field a team this year?
Well, they're talking about it. And
No,
one of the great things is if you have a scorecard from last year,
don't throw it away.
don't throw it away, because for all intents and purposes, it looks like it's going to be the same team as you had last year.
Well, if they're talking about it, now would be the time because you're going to have to show teams sooner or later. And the schedulers are going to want to know, is Seattle going to play or not? Because we've got to know.
Well, it. Well, we'll talk about it more. I mean, I don't hold a lot of promise out for the Mariners, but we always know in baseball, as in many sports, but especially in baseball, there always seems to be the possibility that
You'll show them. Crap
that
happens.
they have pitching, and when you have pitching, it can gel at the same time, and it,
The Giants, meanwhile, are out in the desert looking for a Bedouin left-hander that they can bring in at the last minute.
as a matter of fact, they'll take one wins if they can find them.
Sharif don't like it. Rock the Casbah.
They're rocking the Casbah, rocking the Casbah. All right, Mikey. See you on Wednesday if the Lord's willing. The creek don't run. Till then, peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
Go Giants, and don't come back until you get those Bedouins out of the desert.
Let's go. Talk to you later. Peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
What a wine. See you, Vin.
See you, Mikey. Thank you all for listening to our little radio soiree here on the Mikey and Vinnie Radio Network.
Oh, it's the Mikey and Vinnie Video Network. I love that. Thank you.
There you go.